Monday, July 29th, taking a look at ES here. Quick session recap. Much slower session than what we've seen the past few trading days. However, that was well within the expectations. That tends to be the norm for a Monday, right? Totally blank economic calendar today. Typical Monday action. Typical Monday action, especially following what could be considered three incredibly volatile sessions, really. We had Wednesday, the big breakdown move there. Thursday, you had some two-way action. And then Friday, a little bit of volatility compression on Friday with the inside day. Definitely a little quieter. Still some amazing opportunities, but definitely a little quieter compared to Wednesday and Thursday. And then today, like we expected, another inside day, another quiet session with price actually showing less than a full 1 ATR move. So we did see a 53.5 point move today. Your normal ATR as of right now in ES on the daily chart, of course, that's where it matters, is 65 points. So about 82%. Now the main level we were looking at, kind of the structure that we see building here, aligns with that 55.30 upside level of interest. That also happens to be the prior day high, give or take about 1.5 points there. Now remember the significance of that 55.30. Taking a look at the daily chart again here. Take a look at your daily time frame volume point of control. Right through there. So we could see a lot of volume continues to trade at that 55.30 from this prior near-term range. Now, remember, in the near term, on the higher time frames, this is that downtrend. And so we'll take a look at that here in a moment. But because this isn't that downtrend, sellers are still showing up here at that volume point of control at that 55.30. So it does remain a significant level. That is, as a reminder, the weekly time frame level of interest, the main level mentioned in the weekly kickoff. And what we can see here, just zooming in on the prior few sessions, is that we do have just a near-term range building out. One of the scenarios that I had mentioned on Friday and reiterated this morning was the potential for price to continue to trade in this fashion, both today and tomorrow, ahead of Wednesday's FOMC, which, as it usually is going to be a highly volatile event. And then we do have some mega cap earnings later this week as well, which will be market moving. Now, as far as tomorrow on ES, let me back up a second actually, because I want to take a look at the hourly structure on the near term. And what we can see is that we still don't have that change in character. For that change in character, what I want to see is acceptance above this 55.30, right? So just looking at the series of lower highs, this is that most recent lower high. Price retest the low right through there. So we are seeing that price is not obviously trading back down into fresh lows. It is buyers are doing a better job of just kind of holding it within this near-term range, but to actually show a break of this trend here, we'll need to see price up and through that 55.30 with acceptance. That's key. Not a blip above like we saw today, but real trading up and above the 55.30, breaking 55.30, holding above 55.30. So that's your near-term structure, or rather intermediate term structure, with kind of a multi-week look there. As far as the near term, just the past few sessions, want to kind of differentiate those two terms. We are just looking at sideways range. So for tomorrow, I am going to be primarily watching how price responds versus 55.10 as a level of interest, and just kind of looping in that near-term range volume point of control in with that level as well. So 55.10 will be the main watch, with a specific emphasis on that 55.30. This remains the major level, continues to keep a lid on this structure. So we want to see if this kind of series of higher lows results in some higher prices potentially. So that's kind of the main watch heading into tomorrow's session. Let's jump over to NQ. NQ showing very similar compression type of move, right? Volatility compression type of move. You have clearly that near-term range here. And if we jump over to the daily chart, right, we can see that same type of structure. Now, interestingly enough, NQ actually has last week's volume point of control right down here at that 19,157. So we'll want to keep an eye on that. If that was accumulation late last week, what we'll see is, price trade higher and give kind of a retracement move of this big downtrend here. As far as the near-term structure, main watch headed into today was that prior day high, right? We wanted to see some acceptance above that prior day high. Taking a look at the 5-minute regular trading hours chart here, price, it did give that move up through the prior day high, which was pretty nice, but buyers failed to show that continuation up through that 19,400 level. You could see the resistance through there. That's a significant area of resistance in the near term. So we have kind of a 3 or 4 session range now, which becomes more clear here on the 15-minute. And that 19,400 area is a very important near-term resistance point that we need to be keeping an eye on. Now, interestingly enough, something that I personally love to see is today's session high is marked right at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. reversal time, right at that resistance point. You can see it just rolls over to test that downside 19,100 level of interest. But as far as the action today, definitely range bound, right? Well within the expectations for a Monday, no news Monday, and just continuing to show that volatility compression. You could see very wide trend day, right? Some two-way trading from Thursday, very wide. Friday, you see it tighten. Volatility compresses, right? Think about a spring. It's getting tighter. Tuesday may have another day of this type of action. And then Wednesday, we can expect more volatility, some volatility expansion, if you will. So for tomorrow on NQ, I don't love the current location right here, mid-range, that 19,250. That did serve as a pretty solid level for some scalping today. I'll be looking at that level depending on where we open, but I'm most interested in action versus 19,400 or potentially down into this 19,100. If we have to work with the 250, it definitely will. It offered, like I said, some good action today, but prefer, as always, the edges of the range. You're always going to have those best opportunities when price is trading in a range at the edges of the range. And that's true on any time frame, right? So hope everyone had a good session. There were a couple of decent opportunities today. Taking a look at that intraday action, like I said, look at the level of interest here at 250, how well price responded all morning till this point where it finally broke down. And then again, you get the push into 19,100, our next downside level of interest, and buyers are responsive there. This is the importance right here of trade location. Best opportunities are going to come with some higher time frame level of interest. This is why my criteria for an A+ setup must have a level of interest for a true A+ trade. That's going to keep you out of trouble and align you with those higher probability setups. Most of the time, you have that 2-hour trader long right through here. Really nice. Really nice. This is the type of setup where you could hit it and be done for the day. That's what we really like to see there. So some good action today, all things considered. Slower day doesn't mean that there's no opportunities. It just means you need to be a little bit more patient, really look for those higher quality opportunities. If you guys have any questions about anything, feel free to shoot me a DM in the Traders Think Tank. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow morning for the pre-market prep. Have a good afternoon.